Good afternoon, and welcome everyone to our Peace Health webinar on setting health goals for 2021. The information presented today is general in nature and doesn't replace any advice that your healthcare provider might give to you. In fact, we do encourage you to talk with your doctor about specific questions related to your specific diet and or your own health conditions. My name is Summer Meyer, and I'll be your moderator today. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I do want to remind you that Peace Health is safe, open, and ready to help when you need us. And it's now easier than ever because we offer video visit appointments. So visit us online to learn more and download our free health checklists that are customized by age range. You can find that at peacehealth.org/checkup-challenge. And in today's webinar, I would love to invite you to engage with us by voting in the polls, by asking questions in the chat, and by taking our survey at the very end. So with those logistics now out of the way, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker, Ms. Cecilia Jacobson. Welcome, Cecilia. Cecilia is a dietitian, registered dietitian, as well as a certified diabetes educator. She works down in our Springfield, Oregon, Riverbend Hospital in the Cardiovascular Wellness and Rehabilitation Department. She's passionate about helping her patients achieve sustainable diet and lifestyle changes that are in line with their own goals. And she received her education from Bastyr and has worked for Peace Health for 15 years, beginning in our clinical setting, working with hospitalized inpatients, and then expanding to outpatient clinics. She also does cooking demos, health fairs, and various wellness outreach events. But when Cecilia's not at work, you can find her outdoors or volunteering. She enjoys cycling and has ridden Cycle Oregon multiple times on the Candlelighters Ride for a Child team. She also loves to camp, hike, and tend to her small garden to create culinary experiments at home. So thank you for being with us here today, Cecilia. I know this isn't your first webinar with us, so I really appreciate you coming back, and we've got lots of participants on the line today, and I'm really excited to have you kick us off with the overview.
Thank you, Summer. It's a pleasure to be here. Christmas has passed and we are almost into the new year. Today, I would like to cover 3 sections to help you through the post-holiday tradition of setting New Year's resolutions and goals. First off, we'll explore ways to use your personal style to your advantage. Then we'll look at the crawl, walk, run approach to gain new skills. And finally, some tips for setting yourself up for long-term success. This may be a good time to reflect on your past year's behaviors and promises to make lifestyle changes. Let's start by looking at how many of us set New Year's resolutions or goals according to statistics. 60% of us set New Year's resolutions and goals. According to Forbes, less than 25% of people will actually stay committed to their resolution after 30 days, and only 8% accomplish them. A poll from YouGov found the most common 2020 New Year's resolution for Americans where 50% wanted to exercise more, 49% wanted to save more money, 43% wanted to eat healthier, and 37% wanted to lose weight. With over 40% of people reporting they wanted to make diet and exercise changes in 2020, let's look at how many people reported being on a quote diet. A CDC report from 2017 to 2018 found that 17.4% of Americans said they were on a diet. This is up from the 14.3% in 2007 and 2008, with slightly more women, 19%, reporting being on a special diet than men, 15.1%, during the same time period. Obesity rates in the United States rose from 34% in 2007-2008 up to 42% in 2017 and 2018. The most popular diet between 2015 and 2018 across all age groups, 20 to over 60 years old, was weight loss or low calorie. Remember that the new year is not meant to be the motivator for an overhaul of your character or lifestyle. Setting small attainable goals throughout the year with specified, measurable, and a timeline for completion. Make your New Year's resolution realistic by incorporating healthy behaviors into your everyday life. Make resolutions you think you can keep. Don't set yourself up for failure. If you'd like to start exercising, consider initially starting with 2 to 3 days a week, for example, Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and gradually work towards adding additional days. If your goal is to decrease the desserts or treats you have, instead of completely eliminating desserts and treats, create a dessert policy, which would allow you to have some desserts or treats once in a while, not every day. The dessert or treat will look different for each person. But as an example, a half a cup of ice cream once a week or a serving of your favorite potato chips once a week. Replacing the dessert or treat on the other days with fruit, yogurt, unsalted or lightly salted nuts, etc. You don't want to see your meal plan as punishment and become resentful towards it. Summer, now let's hear from the audience what their top 3 New Year's resolutions are.
All right, this is going to be one of those interactive portions that I mentioned about engaging with us. So I'm going to launch a poll here, and you can see the questions that we're asking you. So let me go ahead and get that started. Okay, so feel free to engage with us and think about ways to use your own personal style and what your top health goal is for 2021. Is it something that Cecilia just shared as far as exercising maybe 2 to 3 days a week? Or is it maybe creating something like that dessert policy she mentioned where you allow yourself at once a week dessert? Or maybe it's something totally different like quitting smoking or not listed here. Feel free to type in the chat and share with us what that might be, and I will read anything that folks type. Looks like we've got lots of people taking it. 60% so far have voted. So let me give you another couple seconds to make your selection. Or again, feel free to type something unique in the chat and share with us. All right, so we're almost at 100%. I'll just give you a couple more seconds and then I'll close this poll. Thanks everybody for participating. This is exciting. Okay, so I'm going to close it up now and we'll share out these results. Okay, can you see those, Cecilia?
I can. It looks like exercise came in first at 52%, and then other was 27%. I'd be curious to know what people typed in.
Yeah, I'm not seeing, let me just double check. Oh, eat healthier. Yeah, so that's a great one from, here they are. Yeah, that's a great one from Jane, and then Susan would love to go on a full plant-based eating health plan.
Those are very exciting.
Yeah, these are great ones. Thank you all for sharing. Okay, so let me go ahead and transition back to our slides here. And I'll hand it back over to you, Cecilia.
Thank you, and thank you all for participating in the poll. Unhealthy behaviors do not develop overnight. They occur over the course of time. Therefore, you probably will not be successful at changing them overnight. Replacing unhealthy behaviors with healthy ones requires time. Pick one behavior at a time to work towards changing. Think about children learning to walk. It doesn't happen overnight. First they crawl, then they begin to stand up with assistance from people, furniture, etc. Then they take a single step and oftentimes plop back down on their bums. only to get back up again and try until they eventually are off and running. Let's look at how we crawl by setting your new goals, be that verbally stating it, writing it down, or both. This gives you the chance to hear and see what you hope to accomplish and determine if it is realistic or not. Next, the walking begins. This might be a nice time to share your goals with friends and/or family. Having a support person to share your success and struggles with makes the journey to your goals easier and less intimidating. Think of the child who needed help from the adult or furniture to stand before they could take those first few steps. You'll know you've hit the running phase when you have approximately 90% or greater mastery of the new goal. Perfection is unattainable. Remember that minor missteps when reaching goals are completely normal and okay. Everyone will have ups and downs. Resolve from your mistakes and get back on track. Tomorrow is a new day to start fresh with a clean slate. Think of the child again. Sometimes they fall down, but they get right back up and start on their mission again. Next, we'll look at how you can set up ourselves for successfully achieving our goals. First, our goals should be specific. Resolutions tend to be broad and vague. Goals are much more actionable, which is what makes them more effective. The more specific you are about your goals, the more likely it is you'll accomplish them. When you break them down into measurable pieces, you'll be able to track your progress and stay focused. Break your goals into actionable steps and check in daily or weekly on your progress. Plan time each week to review your progress. Maybe try to set aside 5 minutes a day to review or check in on your goals and progress. Eventually, this daily checking in will become a habit. The key to being successful with your goals is consistency. If you only work on your goals sporadically, you probably will not see the results you are hoping for. A lecturer at Harvard Medical School writes a blog, and on it explains that answering 5 specific questions can give you a push in the right direction when it comes to sticking with New Year's resolutions and goals. First, why do you want to make this change? Then, is your goal concrete and measurable? Next, what is your plan? And who can support you as you work towards change? Finally, how will you celebrate your victories? There are many tools out there to help you with long-term success for your goals. A popular tool is the SMART goals, SMART being an acronym, the S being specific or significant, the M measurable or meaningful, A attainable and or action-oriented, the R relevant, rewarding, or realistic, and the T time-bound or trackable. If you're trying to save money and eat healthier, consider using SMART goal setting technique to track both goals simultaneously. For example, the specific being, I want to start by eating 1 veggie and 1 fruit per day, working towards the recommended 5 cups of fruits and or vegetables per day. This can be measured by how many servings of fruits and or veggies you consume daily via food journal, online programs like MyFitnessPal, or talking about it with your support system. Action-oriented can be remembering to add fruits and veggies to your weekly shopping list so the cue to action to consume fruits and vegetables is accessible to you at home, preventing you from having to run to the store multiple times a week and possibly getting sidetracked grabbing takeout instead. Rewarding can be seen both in your health, as you will probably begin to feel better as you increase your fruits and veggie intake, and the financial gain from less frequent trips to the store and or takeout. Time-bound can incorporate the crawl, walk, run analogy. Adding 1 veggie or 1 fruit per day would be like crawling phase. As you gradually head towards the walking phase by adding an additional serving of fruits and or veggies to your daily intake. Then, before you know it, you'll be in the running phase, having a serving of fruits and or veggies at all meals and snacks, not to mention the money you will be saving by limiting trips to the store and decreasing takeout. Another tool I like to use is the Wellness Action Plan, which allows you to develop a plan for each identified goal. This technique encourages you to share your plan with members of your support system or team to help you achieve your goal. On the Wellness Action Plan worksheet, there are categories to identify resources you may need to be successful. For example, if your goal is to drink more water, you need access to water and a water bottle. The potential barriers you may encounter with this goal might be the expense of buying a water bottle or frequent trips and/or access to the restroom. Allowing yourself to identify these in the planning phase will help set you up for success. Just like we all have different learning styles, you have to find out the goal setting style that works best for you.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Cecilia. We're going to transition to our second poll, and this time I'm going to launch these questions. So let me get that going for you here. And we're interested in which of the methods that Cecilia just shared interests you the most. Is it the 5-question framework from the Harvard blog, or is it setting SMART goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound? Or maybe it's the Wellness Action Plan, which is an outline for your health and well-being, or maybe even something else came to mind unique to you that you want to share with us in the chat. So it looks like we've got about 60% who voted so far. I'll give you a couple more minutes or seconds to make your selection, and then I'll close the poll up and review the results again. And let's see if folks have commented in the chat. Okay. All right, thanks, Jamie, for putting a comment in there. I'll read that in just a second here. Okay, almost 100% have voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close up the poll now, and we'll share out the results. All right, can you see those, Cecilia?
I do. It looks like 47% of our participants are interested in trying out the Wellness Action Plan, which is super exciting. It's nice because it helps identify barriers that could come up before they actually are an issue and how you might tackle them. And then it looks like at second place was the SMART goals, which came in at 37%. That's fantastic also.
Nice.
We have a few others.
This is exciting because Carolyn actually asked if they can get the worksheet. And in fact, it is available. We've uploaded an example into the handout section of this GoToWebinar, and we've uploaded a template. So you have both an example and a template that you can download. We'll also have some of these materials available online. So stay tuned for a little bit more info on that. And then one other comment. Oh, you're welcome, Carolyn. And then one other comment, Jamie has actually been using an app called Lose It, and she said she's been using it about 8 weeks with great success. So congratulations to you on that, Jamie. It's great to incorporate some digital technology to help support us with these efforts as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Congratulations on your success.
Yeah, I love that. All right, excellent. So let me go ahead and transition back to the slides. Cecilia?
Thank you. Remember, goal setting is a process that starts with careful consideration of what you want to achieve and ends with a lot of hard work to actually doing it. Goal setting can tend to lack focus and direction. Goal setting can not only allow you to take control of your life's directions, it also provides you with a benchmark for determining your progress towards your goals. Remember, it is okay to adjust your goals along the way to align with what is important to you now.
Excellent. I am really inspired and eager to make some small healthy changes that I can stick with for the coming new year. And the thing I really love about these methods that you shared, Cecilia, is I can also think of ways to apply them in my life, even beyond just health goals. So I'm sure some of our audience members have questions for you. This is going to be the next portion of the webinar where we love to get some interaction and engagement. So I invite you to ask Cecilia questions using the Q&A panel in your view. And then while you're kind of thinking of those questions, I'm just going to take a moment here to remind you that we do have a recording that will be posted of this webinar, as well as the slides available and the action plan. And I encourage you to share, rewatch, download, maybe a friend or family member could benefit. And so with that, let's go ahead and transition to our Q&A. So let me pull the Q&A up and see what kinds of questions that may have come in. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. I'm not seeing, oh wait, here's one. There must be a little delay. All right, so this one is great. This is actually from Jamie, who says, I've been working hard at reducing my fasting blood sugar numbers. What are some healthy snacks I can eat before bedtime that will help to lower that number? Any suggestions on healthy bedtime snacks, Cecilia, for reducing the fasting blood sugar?
So healthy bedtime snacks, depending on what your medication regimen is, but kind of some go-tos are like a apple, sliced apple with some peanut butter. So you're getting some carbs, some fiber and protein. You could do a small handful, like a quarter cup of unsalted nuts, maybe with a piece of fruit. The cuties are really popular this time of year, the little satsumas.
Oh, I love
Um,
those. Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah, they're delicious.
So juicy.
Um, just a nice whole grain carbohydrate and that has some fiber in it and a little bit of protein can help keep you satisfied until the morning and hold your blood sugar hopefully where it needs to be.
Awesome. Yep, Jamie says awesome. Thank you.
You're
um,
welcome.
and then Phil has a question. Is there any specific diet plan that you would personally recommend for weight loss?
So I hate to recommend diets as opposed to lifestyle changes. Again,
Mhm.
that crawl, walk, run. So more like plant-based whole foods eating style, the Mediterranean style is really great for that. The basis of the pyramid is fruits and vegetables. Again, the goal
Mm,
being 5 cups or more a day. Whole grains are also down at that basis of the pyramid. So bread, cereal, rice, pasta, crackers, whatever you can think of, a good source of whole grains. The
mhm,
healthy monounsaturated fats are at that base level of the pyramid as well. So the olive oil, avocado oil, avocados are good monounsaturated fats. And then
mhm,
unsalted nuts are at that basis level of the pyramid as well. Um, it's not always healthy to eliminate complete food groups. Added sugar, yes, would be one of those caveats that, yeah, you probably should limit that as much as you can, and trans fats. But when it comes to eliminating complete food groups like fruits or beans, they're healthy for you. They have antioxidants. They have a lot of fiber in them.
mhm. Phil says, sounds like I need to restock my pantry. That's awesome. One thing too, Cecilia, that I learned as part of my uh, health coaching, integrative nutrition program was actually more about crowding out bad food with good food. So rather than that sort of mindset of uh, uh, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Scarcity. rather than having like a scarcity mindset, it's more of having an abundant mindset. So, like you mentioned, adding some of those good foods in, like if you're eating satsumas and if you're having a little apple and peanut butter, you may not actually be hungry for the bad foods then, because you're filling yourself up on those good, healthy foods.
Yeah, the
And
more
I personally
nutrient
like that.
dense foods. Yeah.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot of times we'll get questions about, well, what calorie level should I be on? But like you're saying, if you fill yourself up on those nutrient dense foods, there's not a lot of room for, you know, the foods that might be considered more treats that should happen
Hmm.
infrequently as opposed to every day.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Let's see here. Let me ask, I think we've got time for a couple more questions here. Um, this one is from Cynthia. She said she is a plant-based athlete with gluten, soy, and dairy allergies. Can you suggest any additional protein options?
That's a really good question, Cynthia. So you can't do gluten, soy, and what was
Soy,
the third one?
dairy. Hmm.
Dairy. Wow. Okay. What about pea protein?
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
have pea protein powders? Usually they're pretty savory in flavor, so you could mix them into soups if you enjoy soups.
Oh, yeah. Great. Okay, very good. Oh, here we go. Yeah, she says she does use that. So great. Yeah, so that's a good one.
Good.
And let me go ahead and let's see. Here's an interesting one from Leah. Why do you think carbs and bread have developed such a bad reputation? That's an
That's
interesting
a
question.
good question, Leah. They've been vilified, kind of like eggs. Um, so I think that maybe when we think of breads or carbohydrate products, pastas and stuff, most people tend to think of more the refined white breads, white rice, white pastas, and forget about the different whole grain pastas and the different grains like farro and barley and bulgur and quinoa are all really good whole grains that would fit nicely into a whole foods plant-based eating style.
Nice, nice. That's great. And then looks like there is actually a comment from one of our audience members to address the Cynthia's question. I just wanted to make sure that I shared this because I think that you all may not be able to see each other's questions posted. So this is an interesting tip from Jamie, who's found Orgain plant-based shakes at Costco that are soy-free, gluten-free, and dairy-free. So going back to that protein question, if you're trying to avoid gluten, soy, and dairy, then what else is available as far as protein options? Um, so thanks for that tip, Jamie. I also want to add one thing about that one that came to mind. I tend to eat mostly plant-based myself, and I enjoy legumes a lot. So I do eat a lot of beans and nuts for protein, but honestly, vegetables have a lot of protein in them. So yeah, it's
And
one of those
Brussels
kind of,
sprouts have the highest content of protein of all vegetables.
oh, and those are in season now, right? So
Correct. Yeah.
there you go. Okay, I love that. All right, well, thanks everybody for your questions. I know we didn't get to everything, but um, we are uh, we are almost at time here, and I want to be respectful of that. And just want to remind you that if you have any burning questions, you can always send them to healthyu@peacehealth.org. And we do have a monthly e-newsletter that's full of health news. And one of the things that we will be releasing is announcing our next webinar, where Cecilia will be joining us again next month in January. I think it's going to be January 29th, so we'll be announcing that topic coming up. So be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. And finally, I'll leave you with just plea to please fill out our survey at the end. It's very short, it's only 3 questions, and we definitely use it to evaluate what webinars we'll be offering next, as well as how to improve the ones that we have currently been offering. So finally, I just want to thank you all so much for spending your lunchtime with us today, and a very special thanks to our presenter, Cecilia Jacobson, for sharing her expertise on guidelines for setting health goals for 2021. Until next time, stay healthy and be well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.